Okay, picture this. It's a full moon. You're on a lonely road cutting right through this deep, dark forest. You're on a bike with two of your best buddies. It's one of those perfect, quiet nights that feels like it could go on forever. But here's the thing about the Telgon Forest. Forever can end in a heartbeat. Today, we're going to dive into a chilling story about how one tiny decision, something that seems totally harmless, kicks off a night of absolute terror. And it all starts with these six little words. So, our narrator is driving the motorcycle. His friends Suresh and Ajay are with him. Ajay just needs to take a leak. I mean, it's the most normal, everyday thing in the world, right? There's absolutely nothing that screams danger. But that right there, that simple request, that's the moment their entire world is about to shatter. Because, you see, this one stop on the side of a completely deserted road starts a chain reaction that's going to cost two of them their lives and leave the one who survives forever changed. This is more than just a scary story. It's about how fast your normal, everyday life can turn into an absolute nightmare. So they pull over. The narrator and Suresh are just waiting on the road while Ajay crosses to the other side to do his business. He walks a few feet into the woods, the shadows just kind of swallow him up, and then nothing. He's just gone, vanished into the pitch black forest. At first, they're not really worried. They're just confused. They start calling out his name. Total silence. They figure, okay, he's just messing with us, hiding behind a tree to get a good jump scare. The narrator even starts counting to 5, like, haha, we're gonna leave you. But the silence that answers them, it's heavy. It's wrong.
And then that silence is just destroyed. A scream rips through the night, and it is definitely Ajay's voice, just filled with pure panic and pain. This isn't a prank. This is real. He screams again, begging for someone to let him go. And in that instant, his friends know their buddy is in very, very serious trouble.
They don't even hesitate. They just plunge into the woods, running toward the sound of his cries. And the scene they find? Man, it confirms their worst fears. This was no accident. This was violent. There's fresh blood splattered on the leaves. You can see scuff marks in the dirt from a struggle. And the worst part? A clear set of drag marks leading right into the darkest part of the forest. Something, or someone, took him. So they're following this horrible trail, and they burst into this clearing. And standing there, looking like something straight out of a horror movie, is this old, falling apart 2-story wooden mansion, a kothi. It's covered in vines, just radiating this feeling of pure dread. And from inside that house, they hear Ajay's scream one final time before it all goes quiet. And this is where things get really tense. Their friendship is pushed to the absolute breaking point. The narrator is all about loyalty. He's like, we can't leave him. He's our friend. But Suresh is just paralyzed with fear. He's convinced they're up against something supernatural, a witch, and that their only chance is to get out of there and run. Well, the narrator wins the argument. They force the door open, and the second it creaks inward, this huge swarm of bats just explodes out of the darkness. The inside of the house is a complete disaster. Cobwebs literally everywhere, furniture that's rotted away to nothing, and this awful, thick smell of death just hanging in the air. Then they hear it, a noise from upstairs. It sounds a little like Ajay, but it's wrong. It's twisted. They race up the stairs, following a trail of blood, their hearts just hammering against their ribs. They're expecting the worst, but honestly, nothing could have prepared them for what was waiting for them. Right there, in the middle of the hallway, is their friend Ajay. He's hanging upside down from the ceiling, and his head is gone. They just freeze, staring at this gruesome sight, their brains just refusing to process what they're looking at. And just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, they hear Ajay's voice again. It's coming from a dark room down the hall, calling for help. But how? How is that possible? His body is right there. But holding on to this tiny, impossible shred of hope, they creep toward the sound, stepping deeper into the nightmare. In the corner of this dark room, they see it. It's a woman in a black sari, sitting with her back to them. And as she turns around, oh my God. She has no head, but in her hands, she's holding Ajay's, and it's his head that's talking. And then this thing does something so grotesque it's hard to even describe. It lifts Ajay's head up, and just places it onto its own neck. The head attaches, the eyes blink, and then a huge, horrifying smile spreads across their dead friend's face. The creature didn't just take his life, it stole his face. The two of them turn and they run for their lives, but it's too late. The ghost's power is absolute. It hypnotizes Suresh. And the narrator has to watch in pure horror as his best friend just stops, turns around, and walks calmly back into that mansion like he's in a trance. He finds a knife, and, just like that, he cuts off his own head. And in an instant, he was the only one left. Two of his best friends are dead, murdered in the most nightmarish way you can imagine. And he is all alone, trapped in this house of horrors with a ghost that steals heads. The creature, now wearing a Jace face, corners him. But it doesn't want to kill him, not right away. It gives him a choice. A sick, twisted bargain. Find its original head, the one it lost long ago, and he can live. But if he fails, his head is next. So suddenly, survival isn't about running anymore. It's about solving a murder mystery that's decades old. If he wants to find her head, he has to figure out her story. He needs to know how she died, who killed her, and what they did with that final piece of her. And the spirit tells him this absolutely tragic story. Years ago, she and her husband were on vacation, staying in this very house. One day, 3 drunk men showed up asking for water. When her husband got back from a fishing trip, they attacked him, and he was killed trying to protect her. Then, they murdered her and cut off her head. They buried her body nearby, but they took the head with them, leaving her spirit trapped, incomplete, and full of rage. Okay, so now he has this story. He knows what happened, but his task still seems impossible. He has to think like a murderer. He has to figure out where a group of panicked killers would ditch a human head. His life now depends on thinking logically, while surrounded by absolute terror. And this is where his brain totally saves him. He remembers one small detail from her story. The killers were talking about frying fish. He puts it together. Her husband had only caught 1 fish. That's not enough for 3 guys. So what would they do? They'd probably go to the pond behind the house to catch more. It's a long shot, but it's the only clue he has. And while they were there, it's the perfect place to get rid of her head. He runs to the pond and just dives in. For 2 agonizing hours, he's feeling around in the cold, muddy water with nothing but his bare hands, knowing that time is running out. He's about to give up, and then his fingers brush up against something hard and round, stuck in the mud. It's a skull. He actually found it. He takes the skull back to the house and does exactly what the spirit told him to do. He finds where her body was buried and digs up her remains. He carefully places the skull with the rest of her skeleton, and then he sets the bones on fire. And as the flames climb higher, he sees her spirit, finally whole again, rise up into the night sky and disappear. She's free. The narrator ran from that forest, and he never, ever looked back. He made it through the night, which is a lot more than his friends can say. But it leaves you with this really haunting question, doesn't it? You can physically escape a place, but can you ever really escape a memory like that? He might have walked out of those woods, but you have to believe a part of him is still trapped back there, in that horrible mansion forever.